Sunday? Here. Mumgard? Here. Gaines? Here. Glover? Here. Jaworski?
Here.
Klug? Here. Stubbe? Here. Ingberg?
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
Yes, we do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. Ms. Powers, Administrator's report, please.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July. Starting July 19th, the Public Safety Committee will be meeting to discuss the fireworks ordinance to see what, if anything, any possible changes to that. And just a reminder that the summer permits are issued in February of every year. So if there's going to be any changes to the fireworks ordinance, the number of permits issued, it'll have to be in effect before February. And then individual budget meetings with Mayor Black, Phil, and myself began this morning and will continue from this week and next week. And just to go over a couple of tentative dates on the budget schedule, the introduction of the 22-23 budget is scheduled for August 16th. And then, if you guys recall, a few legislative sessions ago, we now have to have a separate special budget hearing for our public hearing on our budget. So that's tentatively scheduled for September 6th, and that will be after the City Council meeting on the 6th. And then there's a potential with the new state statutes that were passed this last legislative session that we may have to join the county in a countywide public hearing, but it's not a public meeting, so we can't have a quorum of city council members there. But that meeting has to be scheduled between September 17th and 28th. We don't have the dates for that yet, but you guys wouldn't be able to approve the third reading of the budget until after that date. So because of that state statute change, the third reading for the budget will have to be a special meeting as well, as what we're planning. We believe we'll probably have to participate in that county public hearing. We're not exactly sure yet, but we should know within the next 30 days. So we'll have to have another special meeting then for the third reading, and then also the resolution for the tax asking resolution. So just to get that on your radar, between August and September, those budget special meetings. And then don't forget the joint City Council Planning Commission meeting to discuss the Papillion housing needs is scheduled for July 20th. And it'll be held at 6 p.m. at the Papillion Landing. And then finally, the Papillion La Vista Community Theater will present Newsies July 15th to the 17th, and again the 21st to the 23rd at Sumter. So check them out if you can. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Sunday. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
They're not showing up on the screen, so we're going to have to do voice vote. I apologize. Gaines? Yes. Klug? Yes. Ingberg? Yes. Glover? Yes. Jaworski? Yes. Mumgard? Yes. Sunday? Yes. Stubbe? Yes. 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes, and if you were here from Cross Strain for the special designated liquor license, that was approved on the consent agenda. So. Sometimes people forget about those and they sit and wait for the whole meeting, so wanted to let you know. All right. You bet. Thank you. Item D1, Ordinance 1970, an ordinance to approve changing the official zoning map of the City of Papillion in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code to adopt a zoning map and to apply existing or future zoning regulations, property use regulations, building ordinances, electrical ordinances, plumbing ordinances, and all other regulatory ordinances of the City of Papillion pursuant to Nebraska Revised Statute 16901, and to provide for an effective date. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Ingberg. Unusual, staff is recommending a waiver of second and third. I won't explain why, because it is unusual. We tend to only ask for that on bond issues, and we rarely do it on other items, but we are requesting it here. This is, if you're familiar with the Sump Farm, generational family, the family farm. They sold a major portion of their ground to a developer. It's been going through our process. Gene Graves development, and that's been going through the process. The family held back a fairly significant piece of the homestead, and they're desiring to build a home on that homestead piece. but it's running into a number of regulatory roadblocks they're working through. They'll eventually get their permit, but they got to work through a number of actions. Some of it's because they're in the South Sarpy Sewer Agency, so there's no sewer infrastructure, and so they need permission for septic, and that's got to go through the sewer agency. And with the sewer agency being new enough, it didn't anticipate some of these exception processes. And so the sewer agency recently actually updated some of their growth management plans and things based on what they're learning from here. So it's taken a lot more time for them to get through the process to work towards a building permit. One of the things that was recently discovered in that process is that land from the sewer side sits in two jurisdictions. Most of it's in city, but part of it's in county. And so to get fully through the process, the county has to cede part of their jurisdiction over to the city, so we're the regulatory agency. And if the waiver does not occur and it's got to go through 2 more meetings, that's like another 4 to 6 weeks depending on the meeting schedule, which then delays some other things. It could jeopardize their hope to get a building permit this building season and then go into the next season. So just because of really they're caught up in government bureaucracy is why we're asking for the waiver of second and third to help them out. Pretty isolated instance, a little bit of learning because of the new agency, so some sympathy there. So I do support that. So I know it's unusual, but is there a motion to waive second and third for Ordinance 1970? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Jaworski. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion. Mr. Mumgard.
Okay, just to clarify in my mind, you're telling us that the only people who are affected by this change are the people who are asking us to waive.
That is correct.
Okay, well, I typically would prefer to do not to waive overall regulatory
Yeah.
type activity, but if that's the case, then
And I'll ask just for confirmation, is that a fair summary, Mr. Sturzma? That the only impact with that ceding of that jurisdiction would be that one homestead?
That's correct. The only area that's being ceded by the county is the area that's a part of this development application.
closer to our jurisdiction, but that has no impact on that property at all. I don't
It has
think.
no impact on the neighboring property owners.
Yeah, they're either
Nobody
in our,
else is moving nobody
they're
else is
either in our
moving.
jurisdiction or out of our jurisdiction, and if our line moves closer, it doesn't change them, they're still
Correct.
out.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Please vote on the motion to waive, and that takes a second.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Slow getting my mic on.
Yeah.
I guess I just, in a very brief conversation with Mark, I would like a more full explanation, please, on what got dropped, where, and why, if we could, please.
Certainly. So if you recall back to February 2, 2021, the city council voted to request this seat of jurisdiction from the county in response to the Oakleaf development application that included this piece of land that's just outside of our jurisdiction. So you formally made that request. It was forwarded to the county. This is a fairly unusual type of request, so there's no formal process. It's literally a letter of request sent to the county. So we got that ball in motion, and the county, the reference to bureaucracy, the application got lost. In the meantime, the applicant for Oakleaf amended the application, resubmitted for a smaller area for phase 1. And so as we were going through our review of that revised submittal, we did not need this seat of jurisdiction. So as part of that, we went through that process, and then the applicant changed their mind again, and they submitted a third application that went back to the original full property, which did need this seat of jurisdiction to proceed. And so that's why it's taken so long for that to kind of catch up with us now. The fact that it never got processed by the county was discovered earlier this spring, and so we resubmitted. The county did then approve the seed back on May 3 of this spring. It went to Planning Commission in June, and now it's before you. But as the mayor indicated, If we go through all 3 readings, that's going to hold up the applicant and their ability to get their final plat approved several weeks. So that's why we would request this change. And to reiterate what Councilman Mumgard brought up, only property within this development application is being ceded to the city. No property outside of this development.
And it's being ceded to the city. The city's not giving property to the county.
Okay. Yeah, when we waive second and third readings, I think it needs to be an awfully big reason why we're doing it. And typically, I'm pretty good with it financially when we're doing bonds and that. Knowing that it's just going to affect a very small, the applicant itself, I will support it, but this should not be happening.
Correct. Any other questions? Again, this takes a supermajority. Please vote.
Sunday? Gaines? Mumgard? Glover? Engberg? Klug? Jaworski? Stube? 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. And to your point, we're working with both the county and the sewer agency on processes because there's a number of applications we're doing that are going through the sewer agency for the first time. So there's a lot of process learning that's going on all the jurisdictions. So good point. You bet. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1970? Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilman Jaworski. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. F1, Resolution R22011111. Resolution to approve an application for American Legion, 230 West Lincoln Street, Papillion, Nebraska, to extend the outdoor premises for the Class C liquor license. So motion to approve Resolution R220111. Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents or opponents? I will note that the applicant's here. Any council discussion? Please vote.
Jaworski? Mumgard? Sunday? Stube? Glover? Engberg? Klug? Gaines? 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F2, Ordinance 1968, an ordinance to rename Flint Street as dedicated by Belterra Phase 3 final plat to be Beeman Street. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1968? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Any discussion? Please vote.
Glover? Jaworski? Stube? Engberg? Mumgard? Sunday? Gaines? Klug? 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F3, Ordinance 1969, an ordinance to amend Papillion Municipal Code Chapter 150 to clarify existing sections and create a new Article 2 governing the lease of city property and to provide for an effective date. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1969? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Glover? Engberg? Sunday? Mumgard? Gaines? Stube? Klug? Jaworski? 8 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. It's all the regular agenda items. Committees, Public Works met. Mr. Stube.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So back in June, the Public Works Committee met to discuss the 1 and 6 year plan. There was a vote at that time relative to 3 streets being Osage, Jefferson, and 3rd Street. Those extensions as part of the 1 and 6. As part of that committee, there was a request by one of the members to get an evaluation done by the police and fire relative to response times with or without those particular extensions. We had some good discussion relative to that, and so no additional action was taken other than the fact that it's got to go back to the Planning Commission now for discussion, and then it'll eventually come in front of City Council for consideration.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the floor? Yes, sir.
Did the two chiefs provide any kind of a recommendation or thoughts on response time if we do or don't extend those streets?
Yeah, both of them went through an evaluation. Both of them indicated there will be no measurable change to the response time with those particular streets extended.
Meaning that if we don't extend them or do extend them, the response will be the same.
Essentially the same, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments from the floor? Any other council discussion? Couple of updates from last couple of weeks. The sewer agency met again. Number of administrative items. Some more developments are starting to go through that process. So some of the routine things there. Nothing major from a policy perspective. Had the employee summer picnic with recognition, and so that was good. To thank the personnel committee for doing that. Had the ribbon cutting at Shadow Lake, another store open there, World of Wonder, an educational-based business, locally owned. So they had a great turnout. That's another great addition to Shadow Lake with all the openings they've been having. Also had the groundbreaking ceremony for the Tower District. Thank you for everybody that attended that. Mr. Scherzma, thanks for speaking there. It's been getting a lot of great attention. I don't think any specific announcements were made there, but I understand that there's a number of pending announcements coming for land that's already been, lots that have already been sold, and some announcements coming there. And then Ms. Powers mentioned starting the one-on-one meetings with council members. So if you're not sure if yours has been scheduled, let us know. We've had 3 of them already. I know of one we're going to reschedule, and then I think everybody else is already scheduled. So look forward to those. And I think that's all the major items. Regular city council meeting coming up, and then again the reminder, July 20th, the joint planning commission city council meeting. That kind of carries on the previous one we did, where we started the conversation on variety of housing types and workforce housing and that type of thing. So we're going to continue that discussion with some new information that Mr. Sturzma has. So look forward to that. Any other items for discussion? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilman Gaines. Please vote.
Klug? Sunday? Jaworski? Mumgard? Glover? Stube? Gaines? Ingberg? 8 ayes, 0 nays.
We are adjourned.